Makan tahu, minumnya semangka. Penutupnya buah leci. Seperti yang disangka-sangka, PUSBINCHAT balik lagi. Halo Sobat Pembangunan, kembali lagi dengan PUSBINCHAT. Untuk sesi kali ini, kita akan membahas sebuah topik yang sangat baru mungkin bagi para perencana di Indonesia. Topiknya itu terkait dengan gaming simulation. Mungkin untuk saat ini, sesi ini kita akan diperkenalkan terkait dengan gaming simulation. Apa itu gaming simulation? Apa pentingnya gaming simulation bagi para perencana di Indonesia? Nah, untuk saat ini kita kedatangan seorang narasumber yang tidak perlu diragukan lagi. Beliau merupakan seorang profesor dari Universitas Sasari. Beliau adalah Dr. Paula Rizi. Oke, hello Mrs. Paula.
Hello.
Okay, so for the first time, maybe before we start the discussion about what is gaming simulation and how it's important for the planners in Indonesia, you can introduce yourself to the planners.
Okay, let's say that I am an urban planner. I'm professor of urban planning, urban design. I am also gaming simulation designer and end user, and I use this in the field of my research that are, from spatial planning to disaster mitigation, to enhance citizens' participation, to reconstructions after disaster and so on.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Paul. So we will start our discussion about gaming simulations. So actually, for us, the planners in Indonesia, this topic is really, really new. We never know what is gaming simulations. Even for planners, we never even know what is gaming simulations. So maybe this year, our office, PUSBINCHAT, have started a new way of learning gaming simulation. We have conducted workshop maybe last week or so. Can you explain us what is gaming simulation and how it is important for the planners?
Thank you for the question, because I think that is more natural than what we think. We planners are used to work with physical and non-physical environment, and we know dynamics as one, we are working with urban systems. Urban systems are in transformation. We know that urban systems are ecosystem for actors and society and other different layers. And therefore, with this knowledge, gaming simulation for us is something that we quickly understand, quickly take into our baggage and of skills, competences, and knowledge. Gaming simulation is a technique, and in urban planning probably is one of the roots, the main domain where we have gaming simulation are almost three. The beginning are in the 19th century with army, training the officers, quite famous way how to do things. So let's think also Star Wars with the maquette in front and all the officers that are, talking about battles. This is a sort of gaming simulation in army. It goes to business. It went to other international relationship and other domains. And in urban planning, it started to understand how the decision of planners can be implemented into a society and how they not only can get feedback, but they can also find a way how to have a safe environment where they can interact together.
Okay, so it's really important for the planners, right? The gaming simulation. So,
right.
how can gaming simulation can enhance the public participation in the development planning process?
This is just a consequence, what I have told before. The fact that we are aware on the fact that nowadays we are not anymore in just top-down planning or in a pure bottom-up, but we are more in a mixed environment, and we have to deal with this. Let's say that gaming simulation is one of the best tools. Having these two souls, the playability, the game environment where interaction is the keyword, and the simulation where you have a model, you have data, you are understanding trends, and putting together these two things and putting into the table and ask people to play with those two things, two aspects, make them aware, enhance dialogue among the stakeholders, enhance knowledge among people about probably challenges that they didn't think before, because there's always syndrome of not my backyard, but and on the other part, the planners are less static, more dynamic. So the process of participation is one of the field.
Okay, so it's one of the field of gaming simulation
Right.
is enhance the public participation
Yeah.
in the development process. So, how about the data? How can the data in the gaming simulations, because data is really important for development process.
Right. Data are the fundamental for us as planners, because
Yeah.
we are dealing with, let's say, physical transformation. So we cannot forget the data and work only in, let's say, in utopia or an ideal world. We are working with material world. But the data, first of all, in our domain, to have a comprehensive data is quite difficult, except for the data that are collected for, like census, demography, economy, some data related to the environmental resources. But really, it's more, it's more difficult to find the crucial data. Let's say how, for instance, one actor interacts with the other and so on. So we can process the data, but the data are quantitative methodologies, right? Meanwhile, we need also the qualitative methodologies, the qualitative approach, in order to deal with the blurring or uncertainty of some situation in planning. And this is where, the gaming simulation help also to handle the real data, or can serve even to acquire those data that are difficult to find.
Okay, so in gaming simulation, it's not only about quantitative data, but also it's possible to use the qualitative data.
Yes, it's mainly in qualitative rather than quantitative, but as a side effect, you can, for instance, through several sessions of a gaming simulation, you can find the frequency of a phenomenon, and that means quantitative data, right?
Yes.
So meanwhile, you can find that, we talked about participatory process, you can find that in a participation, two different targets that you didn't suppose in the beginning they can interact together, like, I don't know, I'm simplistic in this way, like economic stakeholder and youth, for instance, and they interact. So you have qualitative information from this.
So, how about the challenges? In integrating the gaming simulations into the planning process.
This is the painful point, because challenges, the first thing is that it's easier to put in front of a person a window with different choices, and you push some buttons or you change some criteria and you see the results. This is the simulation. But gaming simulation is not like that. So it requires time in order to set, to understand, because you can design the gaming simulation within the teams, but the groups, of stakeholders, think that, for instance, in my experience, professional experience or research experience, I use to design a gaming simulation with the specific team of the developers or stakeholders in order to understand some. But this is challenging because it requires time, it requires attention, it requires that you have the ability of empathy, and also you have skills in what is called ethics.
Okay, so you mentioned about time,
Yeah.
and we just learned about it maybe this year or this 2 past months ago. So how many times, how long will we learn? How do you think that we can learn it about in 1 year, 3 years, or 5 years?
Okay. To play, you know.
Not to play, okay.
To play is an act that you know.
Okay.
So this is, there are again two different area. One is the area of human interaction, that is the ability that we have to understand each other and play with each other. And the other is the simulation, that is the understanding of physical situation, of other things. And to play, if you remember, we play several times. When you play, you enter into the play. And you play because it's natural to play. What is not so easy and probably is a little bit more challenging is to which stand to use, to which stand to play, how to go deeper, because one important aspect is the debriefing, for instance, and you must have a lot of knowledge in how to debrief, otherwise it's like entertainment, right? So 1 year is fine to understand the mechanics, is fine to understand the elements, is fine to understand how probably to apply and to use properly. And then, let's say, other couple of years, you will be able to handle everything. I mean, the proper use of it, the ontology that you have to apply, how to avoid manipulations, how to increase understanding, and so on.
Okay, so maybe next year we can learn more about gaming simulation, but not how to make the gaming simulation.
To design, it requires a little bit more.
Okay.
I think it requires to know exactly all the paraphernalia, everything are the elements of the game. Remember, is a tool, is a technique.
Yeah.
So it's like to learn, you know, it's like all the components. But then after the components, it's on your the challenges to find in yourself as a planner the ability to use them properly and inform yourself in a way that you can apply, adapt. Sometimes you don't need to design games.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need just to adapt the existing one, but it's a matter of experience.
Okay. So the next question is, like, because our office not only about development process, but also about education and training. So how can gaming simulations be used for training and education in terms of development planning?
It's one of the essential, most useful, more powerful tools to use in both. For the training, back to what I said, that answering to the first question is, training itself is easy because through the process and the protocols of the game, you are trained to be, to understand what challenges you are facing, what you have to do. For instance, if you are training yourself in order to understand how to contribute in participatory process. In education is even easier because I use it with my students. Normally, I start my lectures with a gaming simulation. This is why they enjoy, and then they learn how painful it is to be planners later because, of course, gaming simulation is not the entire process. And this is also to remember about time. Gaming simulation creates a safe environment to experiment for the students and for the trainers to try many times, did they not acquire the ability. So it's quite a powerful thing.
Okay, it's really powerful. Gaming simulation is not only powerful but important.
Right.
Really, really important for the developer and also us, the planners.
Yeah.
Okay. So, because this is kind of new for us, do you have any advice for the professionals looking to adopt gaming simulations in development planning?
Okay. Can I say three things? Remember the same thing that to apply a game when you find an environment that is willingly or you find that can be open-minded in order to apply it or is in favor. Because it's like when you play a game. You never play a game with someone that say, I don't want to play, because you know he will ruin or she will ruin your game. This is the first thing. The second, train, test, trial. It's a matter of experience that you have to acquire. And what I can say is, if you do not play in real life, maybe it's difficult for you to adopt gaming simulation, because it means that your soul, your approach, your mind is open to interact. Is open to use this kind of tools, is open to apply them in the real world.
Okay, so because the planners in Indonesia just learned it maybe this time. You have one sentences, maybe not quite long, but maybe a short sentences. Why we as planners need to understand and to implement the gaming simulations for development planning?
Because we are facing transformation, we are facing a lot of challenges, and we are facing uncertainty. These are the environment that we are going to face in the future. And being able to play, being able to be flexible, because to play means to be flexible, be ready for unexpected. This is why we have to use the gaming simulation. You will learn these things.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Paula, for your insight about gaming simulations. Hopefully, next year, us planners in Indonesia can understand more the importance of gaming simulation, and maybe in some times ago, maybe next year or 2 years later, we can make a new gaming simulation from Indonesia. Hopefully.
I'm sure you will. Okay. You are in the right track, and you will be, in my opinion, within a couple of years.
Okay, maybe in a couple of years. Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Paula. Okay,
thank you.
Jadi itulah sahabat pembangunan terkait dengan gaming simulation. Banyak sekali poin-poin penting terkait kenapa kita sebagai perencana itu perlu memahami terkait gaming simulation. Bukan hanya karena ini adalah hal yang menarik, terutama untuk metode pembelajaran, tetapi gaming simulation ini juga dapat menjadi alat untuk kita untuk bagaimana merencanakan sebuah perencanaan yang baik. Mungkin bisa menjadi trial and error juga terkait dengan perencanaan pembangunan yang akan kita laksanakan. Mungkin sekian dulu sahabat pembangunan topik kita untuk hari ini. Jangan lupa untuk selalu mengecek media sosial Pusbindiklatren, baik itu di Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, dan jangan lupa untuk terus mengecek website Pusbindiklatren untuk mengetahui info-info terbaru terkait dengan perencanaan atau juga terkait dengan pelatihan dan juga program pendidikan di Pusbindiklatren. Sekian dari kami, sampai jumpa di sesi selanjutnya.